All right. Hey guys, it's John with Kingdom Marketing Lab, and today we are interviewing local businesses. As we all know, local businesses are the backbone of our economy. And today we got Bryce Miller, and he owns a chiropractic office up in Adel. He's a husband and soon to be father. So I just want to welcome Bryce here today. What's going on, Bryce?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
All right. So the first question that we have for you today, buddy, is how did you get into the chiropractic field to begin with?
I played pretty competitive hockey when I was younger, all through high school and a little bit through college. So I was always getting injuries, specifically to both of my shoulders. And we have a really great family friend. He's a chiropractor over in Urbandale on 86th Street. His name's Dr. Mike Wagner. So I would be seeing him realistically just for kind of pain management and just to make sure that I was able to compete at the level that I needed to. So that was my kind of entry into the chiropractic realm. I had never been to a chiropractor before high school. I had no idea really what they were doing or what they did. I just knew that it made me feel better.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how was the schooling on that? Was that something that you anticipated or?
Yeah. So I went to Mike and I was like, wow, that's amazing that you can do that with your hands. That would be a really cool job. But he was also a doctor, and I was terrible in school. I barely got by, so I was just going to a community college for just generic stuff, and I really was unhappy with what I was doing. I was actually going for a business major, and I took micro and macroeconomics, and I was like, okay, it's time to change majors. So I actually did research that day of what exactly I needed to do to be a chiropractor. I understood that it was a lot of extra work. I had to basically redo the time that I did in undergrad because I had to get science credits, and business credits don't really work for that.
Right.
So I literally changed it the very next day, and never really looked back. Obviously, there was definitely times of struggle, questioning if I was doing the right thing,
Sure.
specifically in chiropractic school. So the way it works with chiropractic school is it's essentially the same thing as medical school. You go for 4 years or whatever it is for your undergrad degree. You get that in some sort of science, whether that be pre-med, pre-physical therapy. At the University of Northern Iowa, they actually had a program that was pre-chiropractic.
Wow.
I think a few other things fell into that same category. So if you wanted to be a physical therapist or a dentist or something like that, you all were taking realistically the same courses. And then you go to chiropractic school, which is year round. So we don't have breaks really.
Oh,
I
wow.
think the longest break we would have would maybe like 5 days. Um, and you go there for almost 4 years of pretty intense learning about chiropractic, learning about the body, and that's in Davenport is where I went to school.
Oh, wow. So from what I understand is you opened up your office with your wife. How is that working side by side with her?
Yeah, so I actually met my wife, Dr. Taylor, in chiropractic school. So we get this question a lot, but my chiropractic journey always has included her. Obviously, I didn't know her beforehand, but learning chiropractic, practicing when we were students, all sorts of stuff that always included her. So I feel like it's normal for me, and her as well. As I think it would be awkward or weird for us not to be practicing together.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, which we did for a little bit in Indiana. We worked at a big office that had two different office locations, and we worked separate, and that was definitely strange because I mean we would come home and we would share like, oh, we did this today with this person, and it's kind of strange to not be able to maybe know that patient or whatever it is, and kind of be there for those situations where as here in Adel, our office is a lot smaller. We're in a lot closer proximity, but we definitely make it work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's something that I wish that I could do with my wife as well. It almost seems like she's the yin to your yang then, huh?
Yeah, we're definitely two totally different personalities, but I think it works best for us.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. Why did you decide to specialize in like pediatric and prenatal? Was there like a gap in the market or?
Yeah, so definitely a gap in the market. But when we were in Indiana, we were at a very like general like chiropractic for low back pain, for neck pain, headaches, like very typical chiropractor, I guess.
Sure.
And we were seeing a gap that there were families wanting to bring their kids in because they knew that they had seen benefits from chiropractic care and they wanted their children to benefit from that. So we really just saw the gap, saw that it wasn't being met, and we knew in our head that we were gonna come back to Iowa and create our own practice, and we were trying to figure out about like what was gonna make us special,
Sure.
what was gonna make us different. So the first course we took was how to adjust pregnant moms. And fortunately for us, the instructor for that class is actually one of the, I would say, just kind of a pioneer in family and pediatric and prenatal care. She has then since passed away, but she basically created the whole curriculum. So we have taken, and we still have a few courses left, a certification process. It's over 200 hours to be specialized in prenatal and pediatric care. So it's very, very vigorous. We've done a lot of traveling. Luckily now a lot of things are moving to Zoom, which would have been nice a couple of years ago for us. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a thing that needs to become normal. I think going to see a chiropractor for low back pain and for migraines and stuff like that is normal in our society now, but we're always pushing to create wellness within a family, and that needs to become a normal thing. So I was looking at our books this morning before I hopped on with you, and as of right now, our office is 60% pediatrics. That means that they're realistically under like 15 or 16. We're 13% pregnancy, which obviously that ebbs and flows all the time because moms aren't always pregnant. But then realistically, the other, 30-ish% is dads, moms that aren't pregnant, some grandparents. Basically, whole families is really our goal.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that basically leads into my next question. What are some of the benefits of going to the chiropractor, like for adults and kids and expecting mothers then?
Okay, so this I could go on forever, but so I'll try to break it down. So adults,
Sure.
Very simple. Obviously, reduction of injury. So if you're having back pain, if you're having migraines, if you're having neck pain, all sorts of stuff like that, and that's running rampant right now because we're all working at really terrible workstations at home.
Sure.
So I've got a lot of people that come in for migraines or a lot of pain across the shoulders, and they're like, "Why is this happening?" It's because you're staring down at your computer or your laptop or your phone all the day long, and they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, I am." And that's pretty obvious for them. So we help with a lot of that. One of our number one, I would say, side effects, they're good side effects that people tell us after they come in is that they sleep a whole lot better.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So everyone's like, "Oh, I got so much better sleep last night." So obviously, when you're sleeping, your body's actually able to heal and kind of reset. And that's a really big thing. So, a lot of people are dealing with lingering issues of injuries, old injuries, or, maybe they just can't quite get over like a congested, sinuses or a cough. When their body's able to sleep and heal, then those things typically resolve. For pregnancy, I want to dispel one myth with pregnancy is a lot of times, and unfortunately we get a phone call when a mom is 36 weeks. Sometimes we even get a phone call from an OBGYN that they are breech, their baby is breech.
Yeah.
And for some reason chiropractors have gotten like the reputation that we turn babies, and that is definitely not the truth. What we say that we do is we actually normalize the structure of the pelvis. So there's so many muscles, ligaments, tendons, and all sorts of stuff going on in the pelvis. And there's actually attachment points to the uterus that basically if the pelvis is misaligned, that can put constraint on the uterus and not give baby enough room to move properly, which means then they're probably going to go breech, or there's going to be some sort of malpositioning with that. So that's one of the good things about pregnancy care is we're getting the pelvis to move the whole time we're seeing that patient. So likelihood of them going breech is a lot smaller, just again, because the balance is normalized in the pelvis. And that's really the way the body needs to be working for that baby to have proper positioning.
Sure.
Another thing is obviously, that the center of gravity on a pregnant mom changes drastically throughout that pregnancy. So we're seeing a lot of different areas of stress, new areas of stress that the body's not normally used to, which results in a lot of low back pain, low back pain, or even upper back pain, and just really moms trying to figure out how to properly walk, properly sit, properly get around without a whole lot of pain, and we're usually able to help them out with that.
Okay, and that definitely does lead into my next question, which was, what are some misconceptions about going to the chiropractor? You already basically highlighted one for expecting mothers, but is there any other misconceptions you'd like to let people know about?
Yeah, so one of them is that chiropractors are only for low back pain, or only for migraines, or only for neck pain. And that's definitely not the truth, because my average patient is about 9 years old and they're not coming into my office bent over from low back pain. So chiropractic as a kind of a root profession is that we deal with the nervous system. So we, our brain, our nervous system perceives everything around us. It's protected by our spine. So the easiest way to influence the brain and the nervous system is to adjust the spine. So we deal with kids with anxiety, ADHD, sensory processing disorders, all sorts of stuff like that, because we see that their brain and their nervous system isn't working properly, and it needs to be stimulated in a positive way versus a negative way. Sure. Which unfortunately, TV and tablets and YouTube and all sorts of other foods and stuff like that are negative stimuluses to the nervous system. And when that happens long term, which right now we're sitting on Zoom, kids are doing this all day long. That's negative for their body. That's negative stimulus. So that's a really big one, is that, we're not just, we're great at low back pain, we're great at migraines, but we're great at a lot of other things. And that's really one of the things that we're trying to normalize here in Adel, is that the kids can come in, and frankly, kids love coming in. I remember we just had I think she's 18 months old. She just started walking, and she climbed up on the table for the first time on her own yesterday. And it was really funny to see. And we had to help her get off because it's a little too tall for her. But kids are very similar. I don't want to compare them to dogs, but if dogs know when you're trying to help them, sure. Kids are exactly the same. They don't really need to hear you talk about it. They just know, like, hey, this person's here to help me, or whatever it is, and they usually react really positively.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then on average, how many times a month or like throughout the year should somebody go see a chiropractor?
So that's different for everybody. I've got some, so I'm gonna try not to show these two, so you can't see the name on them, but these are the 3 scans that we do. So this is actually diving in and reading your nervous system. It's not like subjective, like this hurts or that hurts or this is a symptom that's going on. It's literally like, I cannot influence this scan. So it's literally just pure data of what's going on with your body.
Mhm.
This is really how we base our care plans. So we look at the scans, look at the severity of what's going on. Realistically, in a simple form, this just looks at like, shows what our stress points in our body are, and kind of I would say the volume of stress that we're under. So it does depend on what these scans look like,
Mhm.
with the frequency of care. Right now, our most popular, just because we've had a lot of people kind of graduate through their intensive care plans, is wellness. We find that stress overloads our body, and our body starts to break down within 7 to 10 days. So that's when people start having migraines again, or they start having that low back pain again, or their anxiety starts heightening again, within those 7 days, 7 to 10 days. So we just try to beat that a little bit. So we do weekly adjustments under a wellness plan, and we have a whole lot of parents and whole families that love it. They need it. Sometimes when they miss appointments one week, they understand that they suffer, and they're like, okay, well, I need to come in twice this next week,
Sure.
because they know that their body isn't working the way it should. But then it goes all the way to kids that are having, massive ADHD or sensory issues. Those kids I'm seeing 3 times a week for however long. It could be upwards of 6 months or more, just because their body and their brain are so disconnected
Mhm.
that it takes a lot of work for those two to get connected again.
Wow.
We always say that a brain that fires together wires together. So this is similar with chronic pain patients. So a lot of times you'll have a chronic pain patient, and you'll actually take away that negative stimulus. You'll actually heal them of whatever they're dealing with.
Mhm.
They'll still be in pain because their brain has wired itself to be in pain.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so that is the whole brain plasticity type stuff. So we're seeing that, if these kids are wired for anxiety or wired for ADHD or stuff like that, that we have to really tap into what's going on with their body and their brain, and almost puts, I wouldn't say stressful stimulus, but new stimulus that they've never really encountered. And sometimes there is a setback with those kids. Sometimes their symptoms do get worse for a little bit,
Mhm.
maybe a week, but then after that week, they get a whole lot better. So that's really just kind of the way we progress through care. We do these scans every 12 visits, just to make sure that we're doing exactly what we need to be, or if we need to reevaluate what to do with those kids.
Oh, wow. So, is there any type of patient that should not see chiropractic care, or would you suggest that everyone should at least come once every 6 months and get themselves checked out? Or
Yeah, definitely. So there, the population of people that shouldn't see a chiropractor is very, very small. So there's um, osteogenesis imperfecta. That is a incredibly rare disease. It's called the brittle bone disease. Basically, those people shouldn't be coming into chiropractors because they're going to deal with more broken bones. The thing with that disease is realistically they don't have the bone mineralization to have any strength in their bones, so they just
wow.
break. When they're sleeping, when they're moving around in their bed, their bones
Oh,
can break. Um, Realistically, specifically in Indiana, we saw a decent amount of people that had fused spines. So they had either Harrington rods, so they had scoliosis when they were young, or they have some sort of disease process that fuses their spine. We still adjusted those people. Obviously, we didn't get ideal movement of the spine that we would want, but those were some of the most regular, devoted patients because they knew that they needed to keep their spine and their brain and their nervous system moving properly. And they were just trying to get as much movement as possible with that. But other than those really small populations, I would definitely recommend chiropractor for pretty much everybody.
Wow, and that's pretty wild too. I guess I never really thought about how much your brain impacts like how your body works as well. And if they're not aligned together, then it's basically more work to get those two aligned together. I never really thought about the brain even doing, I mean, I know it does something, but as far as you working on the body, it's not only the body, it's the brain as well, and the chemistry that goes in with each other. And I never even thought about that whatsoever. That's pretty amazing. So you're not originally from Adel. You came from Indiana?
So I am actually from Waukee. So
Okay.
after we graduated chiropractic school, we had a job offer in Indiana by a close friend. We went there to work for about 2 years. Just we enjoyed our time there. We just didn't feel like it was the right fit for us long term.
Sure.
That's 9 hours from our family.
Wow.
So that's a pretty big drive. Waukee is definitely not the town that I grew up in. It has changed drastically, but Adel still resembles the area that I remember. I remember getting my driver or my learner's permit here in town. And we would come here pretty frequently, and it still resembles the small town feel that we were searching for sure.
Wow, that's awesome. All right. Well, I tell you what, is there anything else that you wanted to add for the viewers or anything like that?
One thing is Adel is not as far as everybody thinks it is. We get a lot of patients calling, and they're from Waukee, and they're like, oh, that's just pretty far. It's literally a 7-minute drive from Waukee. And Adel is a great place to come hang out. Obviously, we're taking different precautions right now with COVID going on, but we have a really great downtown square. It seems like there's always new businesses coming into town. So there's definitely some growth, and there's some cool things happening in this town. And I always urge people to give Adel a chance and come and check it out.
Right. All right. Well, for you viewers that are watching, I hope you guys go check out Specialized Health and Chiropractic Pediatric and Prenatal Office. For the people that own it, that is Taylor and Bryce Miller. Wonderful people. They're here to help. They're hungry, and they just want to impact as many people as possible. I appreciate you guys watching episode 2 of the Local Business Takeover, and we will be back with another local business here in the future. I appreciate you guys watching.